So today we're going to talk about the physical geography of Latin America. So we tested on Unit 2 yesterday, or we wrapped that up, and now we're moving on to Unit 3, which is about Latin America. So Latin America is kind of a loose term that is used to describe parts of the world that are influenced from the Spanish. And so we call it Latin America because the Spanish settled most of the New World at that time, and they refer to it as Latin America. So there are three regions that make up Latin America. So you have Central America, which is Mexico, and this section of North America, we call it Central America. The Caribbean islands, so these Caribbean islands out here, and the Caribbean, and then South America. And so South America, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean together is known as Latin America. So when you hear me say Latin America, or you hear a news article talking about Latin America, this is the part of the world that they're talking about. They're talking about Mexico, Central America, Caribbean, and South America. Okay. So landforms, there are mountains in Latin America. You have the Sierra Madres. These are in Mexico. You have the Central Highlands. These are in Central America and some of the Caribbean islands. The Andes Mountains are probably the most notable. The Andes are in South America. They go along the western coast. Oh, let me turn the pointer on. They go along the western coast of South America. They work their way down. The biggest part of the Andes is right here in the central to southern part of South America, and they are very large here. 4,500 miles long. This is the longest mountain chain in the world. And they contain cordilleras, which are these openings. So it's kind of like, think like parallel lines. You guys know what parallel means, right? It's like two lines that are right next to one another, but they don't cross one another. Well, the Andes Mountains contain cordilleras, which are parallel mountains. So right here, this dark red, and then this dark red, you can see here, it kind of splits off right here. And so it's like the mountain splits like this, and it continues to go this way, and then it rejoins farther south. And then in the middle, it's kind of hilly, right? It's open. And they have cities and those cordilleras and other things. It's heavily populated in Peru and Bolivia. So in Peru and Bolivia, there are a lot of people that live in the Andes Mountains. They have what's called the Patagonia, which is a dry, barren, windy type of climate. It's in the mountains. This is the Patagonia here. You can see it's just very dry. It's kind of barren. It looks desolate. Like there's no green, there's no leaves, there's no trees. It's just like rocks, snow, ice, and dirt. And it's very windy. So a lot of that stuff moves, right? So they have like dust storms and stuff like that. Okay, the Ring of Fire. So we know that the Ring of Fire stretches along the western coast of South America, Central America, North America, and then it wraps its way around the eastern part of Asia. We call this the Ring of Fire. This is it's the edge of a huge tectonic plate, the Pacific Plate, and it contains very heavy volcanic and earthquake activity. That massive plate moves a lot, and it causes lots of tectonic plate activity. So in Colombia in 1999, they had a massive earthquake. And then in 2010 in Haiti, they had a really big earthquake. And I remember the earthquake in Haiti because I was a senior in high school. And I remember when it happened, it's what was on the news constantly, all the time. It was worldwide news. It was a very devastating earthquake. Haiti is a very poor country, and it absolutely destroyed the country. They're still recovering from that earthquake they had in Haiti. And I remember my senior class, I was a part of the committee that we arranged with local like grocery stores and stuff to donate water and canned goods and items. And we had them stacked on a big pallet and wrapped, and we sent 10 pallets of supplies and resources to Haiti with our senior class group. And I remember that we partnered with other schools, and we sent two semi trucks full of materials to O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and then they airlifted it to Florida, where they put it on a ship, and they sent it to Haiti to help with the recovery. So it was a very devastating earthquake that is very memorable. Okay, the Mexican Plateau. We know that a plateau is kind of like a mountain, but instead of having a peak at the top, as it gets elevated, it'll flatten out and it makes like a tabletop. So it's kind of like elevated flat area. Um, and this is in Mexico. They have a large plateau and it's called the Mexican Plateau. And this is the most populated region in Mexico. This is where a large majority of people in Mexico live. It's the main reason is because they have a really good climate on the plateau because it's a little bit more highly elevated. It's not quite as hot and dry. It gives them a little bit more variety of climate, so they get adequate rainfall, and it's very good soil. So it's good for farming. It's a good place to live. They have good access to water in the Mexican Plateau region, and this is a very important geographical location of Mexico, and we'll talk more about that in future notes. For the highlands of Brazil, this is the Mato Grosso Plateau. It's in Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru. You can see it. This is what a plateau looks like, right? It looks like it's going to be like a mountain, but then it just flattens out at the top. And this is an overhead shot of where the Mato Grosso Plateau is located. So it's just south of the rainforest. The lowlands and plains, you have two grasslands. You have the Llanos and the Pampas, and these are Latin America's wheat belt. This is their version of the breadbasket. It's a large flat land that is very good for farming, very good for livestock. So they do raise lots of cattle here, and they have cattle grazing and gauchos are just like cowboys, right? They're like ranch hands. They are people that live off the land, driving cattle and raising livestock. And so in the Llanos and the Pampas, they do a lot of livestock rearing, and they sell their livestock to make meat. And so a lot of steaks and pork and things like that actually do come from Latin America. The water system. So the Amazon River, this is the longest river in the Western Hemisphere, and this forms the Amazon Basin. And the Amazon Basin is just everything that surrounds the Amazon River gets kind of covered in water from rain and from the Amazon flooding. And so it forms this big area that is kind of like a wetland. And this shows you this, like, I don't know if you can tell, but this is white and this is like a light blue or a gray. This light blue or a gray is the Amazon Basin. And so it shows you like how big that is. This Amazon Basin is huge. And all of this contains water. So either underground, on top of it, or in the rivers. And so it's a very fertile and good place for trees to grow. This is why the rainforest is located there, because there's so much rainfall and the ground is able to absorb it and not be leached enough that trees can grow, that this is why the rainforest is here. So this contains the Amazon rainforest, which you guys have all heard of, and it is the largest rainforest in the world. The Rio Grande, this forms part of the US-Mexico border. So the Rio Grande is right here, and it makes the memorable border of Mexico and Texas. And again, this is a fast-flowing river. It contains rapids. This is a pretty shallow part of it, but if it was higher, it would cover this area as well, and all the way across over here. So, Panama Canal. A canal, and it's very important that you understand what a canal is because we talk about canals a lot in geography. A canal is a man-made body of water. So what they do is they take this body of water, this body of water, this one, and this one, and they connect all of them. That's what a canal is. You're taking existing bodies of water and you're finding a way to connect those existing bodies of water so that way it's more easily navigable. So a canal is man-made. It required 75,000 workers to build the Panama Canal, and they started building it in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it took them about 10 years to construct the Panama Canal. And when they built the Panama Canal, it was a groundbreaking, monumental feat of engineering. It was revered as one of the greatest engineering marvels in the world because they connected the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean together. And this made it to where instead of having to go all the way around South America, I'm going to go back to show you a map. Okay, so this is the Atlantic Ocean over here. This is the Pacific Ocean over here. If you had a ship and you left Florida and you wanted to take your ship to, say, California, you would have to sail your ship all the way down through the Caribbean, all the way along the coast of South America, go around the bottom of South America, come back up the coast of Mexico, and then you could get to California. Once they built the Panama Canal, which was right here, you could leave Florida, sail down through the Caribbean, go straight through the Panama Canal, right up the coast of Mexico, and then you're to California. This trip takes 4 to 5 days. This trip takes 4 to 6 weeks. So you can see how this was a very important thing. And also, I'll remind you, this happened in the 1900s. So the ships weren't as good as they are today. So it really did take 4 to 6 weeks to make that journey. So it was very, very important. It sped up trade. It allowed markets to be able to trade goods faster, allowed people to be transported faster and move faster. It was really important for our military and our Navy. It was a very important feat of engineering. And it took them 10 years to complete it. And I have on the next slide, or the future slide, I'll show you how the Panama Canal works. Here, I'll just show you right now. So this is what is really amazing about the Panama Canal. So the ships that travel the oceans are massive. Like they're the size of like the high school in length, right? Like they're huge. They're thousands of feet long. They weigh multiple tons. They're gigantic ships. And the Panama Canal is not flat. It's got steps to it. And so the way that they do this is they have these gates on the steps. And so the ship will come this way and then it will stop. And what they'll do is they take water out of this gate right here, because you see there's a gate here and a gate here, and they take water and pump it out of this channel lock here, and they put it into here. And they make it to where this water level and this water level match. Then they open this gate, and then the ship can move forward. And they shut it, and they pump water out of this one into this channel lock until they're about even. And they open this gate, and then the ship moves into that. And they keep repeating this process. It allows a ship that weighs 20,000 pounds to go up 600 feet in elevation over the course of the Panama Canal, and then back down 600 feet. So it's pretty remarkable. And the thing that's cool is they built this thing over 100 years ago, and it still works. It's still functioning. It is still the primary form of travel between the Atlantic and the Pacific. It is still one of the largest canals made in the world. And it has the most advanced locking system of any canal that's ever been created. So they built it 100 years ago, but it's still on the cutting edge of technology, and it's still extremely useful. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple of lakes. So Lake Titicaca is the world's highest navigable lake. So it is a lake that is very deep in water depth, but it's the highest one in elevation. So it's the highest elevated lake in the world. Then you have Lake Maracaibo. This is an inlet of the Caribbean Sea. It contains rich deposits of oil. So at the bottom of Lake Maracaibo, there is oil, not in the water, but beneath the land. That's the bottom of the lake. There's big pockets of oil, and they build these big oil rigs in Lake Maracaibo to drill down and pull the oil out. Okay, the Atacama Desert. This is considered one of the driest places on Earth. It has this phenomenon that's known as the common chaka, which is a fog that covers the desert. The thing that's interesting about that is that we know that fog is actually just water vapor. So usually what that means is the air is cooler than the ground, and it will create that condensation, and instead of going way up in elevation, it will happen towards the surface of the Earth, and we know it as fog, right? Like we get fog here, you'll have it happen early in the morning usually. Around this time of year, it usually means the ground's warmer than the air, vice versa. Well, in a desert, there's not a lot of water vapor to begin with. There's not a lot of moisture. And usually the air temperature and the ground temperatures are very similar. There isn't a big drastic difference. But for whatever reason, in the Atacama Desert, they get the common chaka, which is a fog. So it's kind of like a natural phenomenon that is specific to the Atacama Desert, where other deserts in the world do not get fog like this one does. Okay, so that is it for the notes. Thanks, guys, for watching.